Do not enter the city.
It's tempting to just call this a zombie tale. And indeed, many ways it is, of course.
Hey, Walking Dead fans, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be, in the beginning, there was Frank Darabont.
Being the zombie-loving guy that I am, for years I'd been thinking, oh man, I'd love to do a zombie thing.
I kept looking around for the thing that might get me into that world. And it was Kirkman's material that I found.
He's the guy that was stumbling along in a comic book store and saw the Walking Dead comic and said, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to do a zombie something for a long time. This is it.
It was something I literally came across at House of Secrets comic book shop in Burbank. Brought home The Walking Dead, and my thought was, oh, this is it.
And he got with Kirkman, and the rest is history. So Frank Darabont is the reason all of this come together, and we'll look at some of the stuff he's said in some interviews, some of the things he did on the show, and ultimately at the end of the video we'll finally reach talking about why he left or why he was fired and the lawsuit that's happening and everything that happened.
I had not heard of Kirkman. I had not heard of this comic book.
It was abundantly clear that Frank read the comic and, more importantly, understood the comic.
So Kirkman had been approached before to do a movie a couple of times maybe even, and he turned people down, and Frank came at him with the show, and Robert Kirkman understood that Frank Darabont understood his story, his idea, and said, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. Let's pitch it.
An old school guy, I like my zombies served up Romero style.
So not only did Darabont, who's a zombie lover, get together with Robert Kirkman, who's a zombie lover, and they pulled in Greg Nicotero to do the makeup, who is possibly the biggest zombie lover on the planet, and it all stems, and they all agreed that it stems from Romero. That was the starting point. That was the inspiration. And if you will watch The Walking Dead through even season 10, Greg Nicotero, being such a big Romero fan, has incorporated so many little tidbits and Easter eggs from the Romero stuff.
Look at that. Don't touch the props.
Ah, whatever. They'll let us do whatever we want.
Okay, on my cue, you all do the Thriller dance. Yeah, why not? Action!
As far as Frank Darabont goes, before he did The Walking Dead, he made his name in the movies, the cinematic realm. He is the guy behind 1994's Stephen King adaptation, The Shawshank Redemption, one of my favorite films of all time. He followed that up with another Stephen King adaptation, The Green Mile. And Shawshank Redemption is a really big movie, more so after it came out than when it came out. But Green Mile, when it came out, it was critically and commercially successful.
Shawshank Redemption, guys, and Green Mile, like, that's the perfect thing for Walking Dead.
Darabont, along with Gale Ann Hurd and a couple others, they were trying to produce and pitch the Walking Dead show once Frank Darabont went to Kirkman and got the rights and stuff.
My agent saying, can we try to get the rights to this? Can we look into this? Because I think this could be a very, very good show for television.
And they started pitching it around HBO and some other places, but it ended up landing at AMC. So Darabont helped produce, direct, write script. He got the tone of the show, the visual style of the show, set up a lot of the live action, and he actually spent 5 years getting the show up and running and helping to decide what the zombie outbreak would look and feel like. And he also was able to write and direct the pilot episode. And that in itself is like a little zombie movie.
And then we're going to get...
And it seems like AMC was giving them some freedoms that we thought, you know, a lot of us are kind of against AMC a little bit for all of the restrictions and kind of crap they've done with it, even though it's a great show and one of our favorites.
Well, AMC came along and said, we'd love for you to slow yourself down and make it more like the films that you do. And I said, great.
From some of the stuff that Frank says, from some of the stuff that Gale Ann Hurd says, AMC was trying to do the right thing in the first season.
From the very beginning, when Frank, Robert Kirkman, and I met with AMC, both sides came to the table saying, if we're going to do this, we have to do this right.
Seems like they pulled out all the stops and gave the crew, Frank, and everybody a lot of freedom, not just with the blood, the gore, the time limits, the production, the money, all that stuff.
Rather than giving us the green light to shoot a pilot, they immediately ordered 6 episodes, which is very unusual in television. That doesn't happen terribly often.
Season 1 was 6 episodes, and it went off without a hitch and became one of the biggest shows ever. But then in Season 2, things started going really sour, especially for Frank Darabont. They wanted to give him less money than they gave him for Season 1, where he did 6 episodes. They were wanting to give him less money to do double that. It would come to pass that Frank Darabont, I think, wrote the first episode, What Lies Ahead, of Season 2, but then he's gone. He had bigger ideas. If you want to watch a really cool video, one of the most popular ones on the channel is the Tank Soldier. Soldier Story, the tank zombie. And it tells what Frank really wanted to do. It tells what he wanted the pilot episode of Season 2 to be, and it was all about that soldier and his backstory leading up to him ending up in the tank and dying from a zombie bite. And as far as the comments on that video, everyone has said that, man, that would have been the greatest thing to see that. It would be great to see it even now. But Frank was let go, fired, and there's still a lot of, I guess, a little bit of mystery behind it, but they're in a lawsuit now. Frank filed a $280 million lawsuit, and that's kind of comes not just about his firing, but they say that AMC has done some shady financial practices as far as not paying him, and others actually have filed lawsuits as well, even Kirkman. AMC seems to be doing some funny business accounting so that they can keep most of the money.
Ballsy heft to this. Yeah, no, this is good. There's no such thing as too big an axe.
So Frank gets fired, and one of the best things that happened to The Walking Dead, I guess, because not only that he helped bring it to television, but I think his vision and execution of Season 1 is just unparalleled as far as just where he could have taken the series. Is it better that he left? Would the series have crashed and burned instead of became the biggest series ever? There's so many questions of what could have been, but I know that whatever it is that we did get from Frank Darabont was really great stuff, some of the best stuff, if not the best stuff. So like the Tank Soldier Story, he was going to go off in a lot of different directions.
Well, you don't say no. Go take that detour. You know, we'll meet you back on the path. You know, comic book fans.
And a lot of those detours were detours away from the comic story. You know, they have new characters, Merle and Daryl in the show. There's a lot of changes. They had the CDC at the end of Season 1, and Kirkman at first was for it because he thought that'll give the comic book readers such a surprise to see that. It's different than the comic. It's something that's not in the comic. He later said he didn't really like it, and he wished he hadn't have done it or okayed it.
Thanks to Kirkman, we actually have a good long-range path to follow.
And as Darabont says, Robert Kirkman gave the path, and they went along the path. You'll be really surprised if you're not a comic reader, if you read the comics and have seen the show up through Season 10, how close it actually is, how a lot of the frames, panels from the comic match up to the show, and a lot of the bubbles, the text bubbles in a comic, things they say. A lot of that is real similar, but there's actually a whole bunch of stuff that's not as well. So both things, the comic and the show, are definitely two individual pieces of work, both excellent in my opinion. But Frank did choose one of the best cast, a bunch of the best crew. He got Greg Nicotero in there. Gillian Hurd isn't one to laugh at either as far as her credits. Just a whole bunch of people, the actors, behind the scenes, the crew. Frank Darabont did so much, and even though he kind of, you know, maybe didn't do everything that we liked, man, he brought a great comic to television, made it a show, made it what it is, man. And you got to give Frank the credit for sure. Of course, second to Robert Kirkman for coming out with a comic and the idea in the first place, and then them working together. In some of the court stuff, AMC has said Frank Darabont's erratic and unprofessional performance as a showrunner led to his firing in July 2011. So they said he was erratic and unprofessional. I mean, he'd never run a TV show before. He admitted that. He just wanted to be creative, I think anyway. He just wanted to be creative, do some outside-of-the-box stories. And I'm really not sure if him and Robert Kirkman had any type of fallout after the CDC thing or after some of the ideas that he kept pushing to Robert, and Robert saying, you're really straying off the path a little bit. I'm sure a lot of it, as we know for sure, was AMC saying, we're going to crack down on the budget. We're not going to give you even half the money that you had first season to do twice as many episodes and do just as much in all of those episodes than you did the last time. And a lot of people wonder why season 2 on the farm kind of slowed down so much. And a lot of it's the budget. A lot of it is firing Frank. A lot of it is the inner turmoil.
It's been a dream job for all of us. Frank Darabont is the man.
That was amazing. I was in there deep. That was the best horse I've ever had.
But that'll be it at the look back at Frank Darabont and season 1. A lot more season 1 videos coming at you, so definitely stay tuned. Subscribe if you're not. Let me know what you think about it all in the comments below, and I will join you there. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more dead stuff.